Amazon just wrapped up 2025 by doing something a multi-trillion-dollar company should struggle to do. It accelerated. While headlines are panicking about a $200 billion Capex spend, most analysts are missing the big picture. Amazon is an infrastructure monopoly. They're replacing the NVIDIA tax with their own silicon chips. They're replacing variable labor costs with autonomous robots, and shrinking the globe with a logistics network that makes two-day shipping seem like a relic from the past. While most headlines are weary about Amazon's $200 billion spending Capex for 2026, they are missing the forest from the trees. Amazon is crushing it on all fronts. Today we're going to briefly break down the Q4 numbers from 2025, Amazon's robotics play, their $200 billion Capex spend, the silicon and cloud war between Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, their improvements in delivery speed and competition with Walmart, and Project Kuiper/Leo, and why despite fierce challenges, Amazon remains a great sleep well at night stock. Let's look at the scoreboard. Amazon's Q4 was a monster. Net sales increased 14% to $213.4 billion, beating analysts' expectations. If you look at the bottom line, net income hit $21.2 billion, or $1.95 per share. But Amazon took $2.2 billion in special charges this quarter, $1.1 billion for tax disputes in Italy, $730 million in severance cost, $610 million in store impairments. Without those one-time hits, operating income would have been $27.4 billion. Jumping to the full year of 2025, revenue hit $716.9 billion. For the first time ever, Amazon is on track to surpass Walmart in total annual revenue. Amazon also plans to spend $200 billion this year, with 80% going to AWS infrastructure. Operating cash flow grew 20%. to $139.5 billion. But free cash flow actually dropped. Why? Because they pumped $50 billion more into property and equipment than last year. They are sacrificing short-term cash to build an AI and satellite moat that no one else can cross. The biggest shock on this report was AWS growing at 24%, hitting $35.6 billion in the quarter. This is their fastest growth in 13 quarters. So I think it's good to go over here why companies are choosing Amazon's web services over something like Azure or Google Cloud. You have to look at the three pillars of their dominance: maturity, diversity of choice, and developer culture. Amazon had a 4-year head start on everyone else. In the tech world, that's an eternity. AWS has the largest global footprint and the most availability zones. When a company like Netflix or Airbnb builds on AWS, they are betting on a platform that has already survived nearly 20 years of black swan internet event. Because AWS was the first, there are millions of certified AWS architects than there are Azure or GCP experts. It is much easier and cheaper to hire someone who knows AWS than a specialist for a smaller platform. Something like Azure is great if you're using Windows or Office, but it feels a bit like a walled garden. Let me explain. AWS is the opposite. In the AI race, AWS doesn't force you to use one specific model. Amazon Bedrock lets you swap between Anthropic's Claude, Meta's Llama, Mistral, and OpenAI with one single API call. On Microsoft's Azure, it's mostly tied with OpenAI, so it is incredibly hard to switch from OpenAI to a different API. You would need to rebuild the entire app from scratch. Amazon makes it incredibly easy if you wanted to just switch from one AI to the next, if there was an efficiency change or if there's a reason why you think A would be better than B. AWS has over 240 full-service features. Whether you need a satellite ground station, a quantum computer, a basic web server, AWS has a specialized tool for it. Azure and Google have often more general tools, but AWS has the surgical ones. AWS's Graviton and Trainium chips provide a better price to performance than the other processors. If you're a developer trying to stay under budget and you're running a code on the AWS design chip, it is often 40% cheaper than running a generic Intel chip on Azure. The takeaway is that most professionals choose AWS because it's the industry standard. If you know AWS, you can work anywhere from a 3-person startup to a Fortune 50 bank. It is a safe bet, but it also happens to be the most innovative. That is why AWS now has a $244 billion backlog, up 40% year over year. While Microsoft is tied with OpenAI and Google is tied with Gemini, Amazon has become the neutral ground where the world's AI is actually being built. Now let's talk about the NVIDIA tax. When you use NVIDIA chips, you're paying for their 70% profit margin, and Amazon decided to stop paying that. Andy Jassy revealed that Amazon's custom chip business, Trainium and Graviton, is now a $10 billion plus annual revenue business, growing at triple digits. Trainium 3 is in production and offering 40% better performance per dollar than comparable GPUs. Trainium 4 is coming in 2027 with 6 times the compute performance. And of course, Microsoft and Google make their own chips as well. For Microsoft, they have their Maya chip, and Google has their TPU. But Amazon is the only one that has integrated their chip so deeply that 90% of their top 1,000 customers are already using them. By building their own silicon, Amazon saves billions in capex, and they can offer lower prices to AI startups, effectively undercutting the entire market. A lot of people think that Tesla will be the big winner with robotics, but I think it will be Amazon. I recently took a tour of an Amazon factory, and you can see how just in a few years, the job has become more and more done by robots. I wouldn't be surprised if 10 years, nearly the entire process is done by robots. Labor is a variable cost that goes up with inflation, and robotics is a fixed cost that goes down as you scale. And Amazon is currently in the middle of a robot takeover. So during my Amazon tour, I learned that there are really 3 jobs that an Amazon worker does. You have pickers, grabbing items, sorters, organizing items, and packers, boxing items. That is the majority of jobs that people need to get from the distribution center to your front door. And Amazon is systematically replacing those touches with machines. Amazon has created a robot called Sparrow. Their robotic arm can now pick millions of individual items with human dexterity. And they have Proteus, their fully first autonomous robot that moves entire towers of inventory through the warehouse without needing safety cages. That is why Amazon had such a high severance cost, the $730 million we spoke about earlier. They are leaning out of the human workforce to lean into the machine. A robot doesn't ask for a raise or complain about long hours. As they deploy more of these, their operating margin on every package shipped goes up. They are trading human labor for high margin technology. Prime Video isn't just a perk anymore. A few years ago, it was just kind of something on the side where every once in a while you would find a movie on there and watch it. But Amazon has made a genius play here, which is to go for sports. Amazon is now the #1 global spender on sports streaming rights and is projected to hit $3.8 billion in 2026. They have the NBA for the next 11 years. They have Thursday Night Football, which saw a 16% viewership jump this year. And they have the European Football Championship League in the UK, Germany, and Italy. So not only does this mean that viewers get more for their membership, but this means more people need to buy Prime memberships. For example, if you're going out with your friends to watch the Thursday Night Football game, that means that every bar, every restaurant needs to have a Prime subscription with a Fire Stick in order to play that game, or else they won't get it from a live broadcast. The same goes for the NBA. That means thousands of businesses need to buy a Prime subscription just so that they can play the Prime Video for their customers. These games get thousands, if not millions of people into businesses and restaurants each year, so this is an essential for companies. With 250 Prime members globally and 180 million in the US, sports act as an additional glue to keep you from canceling. Now let's talk about a phase that is officially dying, 2-day shipping. In 2005, 2-day shipping was a miracle. In 2026, it's practically a late shipment. Amazon just reported that they delivered a record 13 billion items, same or next day shipping, globally in 2025. In the US alone, Prime members received over 8 billion items with that speed, a 30% increase in just 1 year. But the real wow factor isn't the speed, it's the regionalization that made it happen. They've carved the US into self-sufficient regions. Today, 75% of everything you order comes from a warehouse already inside your region, shortening the distance the package travels by 15%. This is kind of like a paradox. Their fastest delivery method is actually their lowest cost method, because it skips the airplanes and the long truck hauls. They aren't just stopping at city limits. Amazon is currently spending $4 billion to triple its rural delivery network. They're transforming small-town delivery stations into hybrid hubs that stock 50 of the top most repurchased items like coffee, diapers, and batteries. In 2025, the number of rural customers getting same-day delivery doubled. This is a direct attack on the one advantage local stores have: proximity. Now let's focus on the main competition that people bring up, which is Walmart. Walmart is really the only one close, and they are growing. They're using their 4,700 stores as mini warehouses, and their e-commerce sales jumped 20% the last year. But while Walmart is focused on the store, Amazon is focused on the agentic shopping experience. Look at Rufus, Amazon's AI shopping assistant. In 2025, Rufus was used by 300 million people and drove 12 billion in incremental sales. Personally, I don't use Rufus that much, but I've been using it more recently just to see what it's all about. And it's pretty good. For example, I needed to buy a new camera, so I threw two in my cart and I said, can you compare these two? What are the differences? Which one's better? Although I personally don't think it's great yet, I think it has the potential to be. For example, that's one of the benefits of going to a shop in person. You could talk to a representative and they could help direct you the best way to go. If you're buying a TV, you talk to someone at Best Buy and they're like, oh, this is a little bit better because of X, or a little bit worse because of Y. But Amazon is trying to add that to their online experience. Shopping with Amazon is now so convenient, it makes every other method almost seem irrational. Briefly talk about Leo and what was formerly known as Project Kuiper. As of February 2026, Amazon has officially crossed the 200 satellite milestone in low Earth orbit. The main question most people have is why they're spending billions to try and chase Starlink. And that's because for Amazon, it isn't just rural Wi-Fi, it's about data gravity. Amazon's Leo will act as a global extension for AWS. It allows enterprises, maritime fleets, and government agencies to connect directly to Amazon's cloud from anywhere on the planet. And we're already seeing partnerships with JetBlue and maritime giant Elcom. Amazon is positioning Leo to be the backbone for robotics and future AI expansion. Amazon is down 25% from its 52-week high. It is a company that has successfully taken over e-commerce, the sports market, and soon to be robotics and space satellite. Amazon makes shopping convenient for everyone who works and cannot go to the store. They are expanding grocery. They are making shipments get to your house faster. Overall, I personally think Amazon is sitting at a good valuation here. I think the $200 billion of Capex has Wall Street a little bit too shook, and they're not seeing the full picture. Amazon is a phenomenal business, and I believe will continue to take over the internet and e-commerce for the next years to come.